among you here today we have representatives of all the different sectors and all the different kinds of organisations that work with us throughout the year. We have schools, universities, corporates, some people from the prison service, government departments, the defence forces are represented, FOSS, private training centres, the national learning networks, the NCBI, the National Council for the Blind of Ireland, and I'd like to make a particular welcome to Stuart Lawler and Joe Lonergan, who are with us today, because they have done absolutely superb work in training members of the blind community in ECDL, and they'll be having a great celebration coming up in April to celebrate that. So I just wanted to mention that. Really, there's a great representation of different types of activity going on here and represented by you people here today. But as you know, ECDL is much more than an Irish phenomenon. It's a worldwide, global phenomenon. And last October in Dublin, the ECDL International Forum was held, and these are some of the countries that were represented from some of the European countries. These are the European countries which were at the event in Dublin last year, and this is a group of the international countries operating ECDL who were in Dublin as well. And so these are just a few really out of the 146 countries worldwide that are running the ECDL programme, and we're very proud, of course, to be part of it along with all of you. So basically you've been welcomed, as I said, and we've set the scene, but in terms of what I'm going to talk about this morning, I'm going to mention briefly a survey which we carried out among test centres in the last 12 months. I'm going to talk about some of the ICS Skills services and support that we offer you, and in order to ensure that the work that you do continues to be valuable and is implemented properly. I'm going to talk about some new developments in ICS Skills and provide you with some ECDL news as well. Jim mentioned version 6, which is coming on stream, and I'll be talking about that as we move along. So I think it's always good just to have a look at the numbers. 500,000, we celebrated 500,000 last year, our big milestone, and since that we've another about 30,000 people have gone through ECDL, and another 10,000 on top of that through various other programs that we run, programs like Equal Skills and our Data Protection Certificate, Certified Training Professional, USIP, all of these other programs that we run, and we're also starting to ratchet up some numbers in professional training like the IT Capability Maturity Framework, which we're working on with the IVI. So we have a lot of traction and a lot of people coming through our doors. In the last 12 months we've had 209,673 automated tests, which is really fantastic, because this time last year when I was talking to you, we were about halfway through the project of transitioning centres from manual testing to automated testing. We've now moved 100% to automated testing, and we're just tidying up the last loose ends of manual testing in a few places around the country, but we're really very proud of that. Of those 209,000 tests, 128,000, nearly 129,000 were certification tests, and we've recorded a pass rate of 81% among all of those tests. And when you consider that the pass rate for ECDL tests is 75%, that's a pretty good record among our centres and among the people that are being trained and tested by you. 21,000 certificates were issued, ECDL certificates were issued last year, and 3,000 certificates were issued to people availing of the flexible options of ECDL. Now that would be something outside of either ECDL Start or full ECDL 7 module ECDL, and I'll be talking to you a little bit more in a moment about how we're going to be working with that option and how we're going to develop that way of delivering training and certification. Just very briefly about the survey. We sent a survey out about a little bit less than a year ago, actually, to all of our test centres, and the purpose was to determine the importance of ECDL to the centres who offer it, and how beneficial ECDL certification and certification in general was to the centres that work with us. We also were interested in finding out what new content you felt would be relevant to be included in discussions at ECDL Foundation level in the development of the syllabus and new versions of the programme. in order for ECDL to maintain its prime position that you know it has. And we attracted a very high response rate to that survey, and we'd like to thank everybody who did respond to that and give us some good information. So I'm just going to refer to a few results of the survey here and there throughout the presentation. But one of the questions we asked was, why does your centre offer ECDL? If you're a training centre, or if you're a school, or if you're a university or a government department, why do you do ECDL? And the largest, the most prevalent response was that it provides skills which are essential to the workplace or to the education field that students are working in. So it provides people with basic skills, not specialised skills, but basic skills that they need to carry on their work or to do well from their education. A significant proportion of centres also said that they chose to do ECDL because it is recognised and required by employers. And we're noticing that too, quite an increase in that. We're noticing an increase in the situations where ECDL is required in job advertisements, etc. So we were very pleased with that. So you had all the right answers, or you ticked all the right boxes, I think, in terms of determining what the reasons were for offering ECDL. But there are a few more reasons as well, and a few things just to continue considering the relevance and the value of ECDL. It's broad and flexible, and as I will talk about the new developments in ECDL in the next few minutes, you'll see that it's going to become even more broad, even broader and more flexible. And we invite you to take a look at it with a fresh pair of eyes and to play around with it and see, you know, what can you do with it to provide new offerings to your centres. You're already familiar with the one module certification and a mix and match of different modules to create, you know, packages really of skills that would be appropriate for people in different walks of life. ECDL Advanced is there and can be married into the offering and married into a certification package, if you like, to offer to people as well. And we are starting to focus on occupational tracks and to think about which modules would be appropriate for people who are aiming to go down particular occupational tracks. ECDL has been around for a long time. Its quality is persistent, but it's also new. And you know, it's a state-of-the-art certification, and I don't think that there's any contradiction in saying that it's established and, you know, it's been there for a long time. It's stable, it's recognised, but also it's new because it's a living and breathing thing, and it's ongoing and evolving all the time. We're about to move into our 6th version of ECDL in the 15 years that Jim spoke about, so there's a lot happening there. And you know, just to put in context what I'm saying, we get a lot of positive feedback from you, from all of our test centres, and here's one supporting the, you know, our strong contention that ECDL enables students at all levels to take the best advantage of their educational opportunities. And this quotation is from a centre which I believe is represented here today, and we might hear a little bit more about them as the day goes on. And in talking about the ECDL certificate, they say students who use technology as part of the learning process perform better in school, are better motivated to learn and enjoy their learning more than students who do not. So that's a great endorsement for the work that's being done by everybody here in this room. I think also it's very important to consider the skills that we teach through the ECDL program as being absolutely fundamental and basic. It's a baseline set of skills, and it's as basic and as important as the 3 R's, the reading, writing and arithmetic. It's another one. It's the 4th R, if you like, if we could find another letter to fit into that. You know, it's essential for, as I said, for baseline. It's important for upskilling, for reskilling, because they're skills which are needed to base learning on. And without having these basic technical skills, it's very, very difficult to learn in the modern educational environment. So it's not a choice. It's a basic literacy, just like being able to read or write, you know, in the traditional sense. It's not a choice. Studying ECDL or gaining IT user skills is not like moving into an IT stream. It's just preparing yourself for just for life in general. We have a program called Choose IT to advise on moving into the IT stream, and we have programs for schools like Scratch and Formula One in schools. So we do cater to that, and we do look to that, and Jim also mentioned our interest at the moment in looking at a computer science curriculum, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment as well. And because we're really looking at ECDL now with a fresh pair of eyes, because we're moving into version 6, we've launched what we're calling a Come Back to ECDL campaign in the last few days, just to remind people of the choice and the flexibility and the convenience of ECDL, and just to encourage them to take a fresh look and to say that well, this has been going on for a while, but it's still good and new and different, and the value still persists. Definitely there are challenges. We all have to deal with challenges, and in this type of activity there are challenges as well, with budgets and finance, etc. But we're happy to talk through any issues that people have or any difficulties, and to help you as best we can through any problems or difficulties you have in implementing the program and in continuing what you've been doing. But I do want to say just a word about the computer science curriculum, because within the school system there is a kind of, I suppose, a movement or an undercurrent of discussion about bringing in computer science as a subject into the second level system. Now, it's not an official subject, and it's not on the cards to be an official subject at Leaving Cert level at the moment, although there are discussions about bringing it in at Junior Cert level as part of the Junior Cert reform as a short course. So we're very interested in that because we think that it's extremely relevant. We think that it would be very important as to assist the development of the Irish economy and addressing the shortage of graduates, which is is very, very definitely a problem for us. So we have set up a focus group within our organisation, and we're looking at the elements of what might be contained in a computer science programme. And of course our motivation isn't only because we need more graduates and because we need to help the economy. It's intrinsically good in itself. It teaches problem-solving skills, and it helps students to generally get the most out of their education. But it will also help to the retention rate in computing courses at third level, because one of the problems is students who select computing at third level, they don't quite know what they're getting into. They may be confusing computer science with something like ECDL or user skills, which is, the point we're trying to make is that there's a big difference between those. If the entrants into the courses know what they're up against and what they're going to be studying, the chances of them staying within the course because they'll have selected the right course are much greater. So that's something that we're very, very focused on as a parallel track to the basic skills training, which we believe is an entitlement of everybody really to have that. So I suppose in moving forward, we have to just remind ourselves of the value of ECDL and of the value of the work that we're doing. And you saw a quick reprieve there of President McAleese and some of the things that she said last year at the Convention Centre when we were celebrating the 500,000 ECDL skills card. And a really great thing that she said there, I think, is that as ECDL ratchets up the numbers, our country does well and Ireland does well, because she was able to see the connection between people having basic literacy skills, IT literacy skills, and the economy reviving and doing better. A huge national movement, she said ECDL was, an enabler to empower people to avail of the advantages that technology can give. So we need to just take advantage of the inspiring words that she gave us. Going back to the survey again, we were interested to know how the support services that we offer to our test centres were viewed by the people who are receiving the support. And the survey showed that the introduction of automated testing has been a very positive experience for centres. And over 90% of the respondents said that they were very happy with the level of support received from ICS Skills. So we were delighted with that. And I suppose to put it into context and perspective, we need to think about the numbers that I quoted a moment ago. 209,000 tests, and we have up to 7,000 daily logins to our system. So that's a huge amount of traffic. And this has been an absolutely phenomenally huge change project that we've implemented over the last couple of years. It's involved a culture change and a learning curve for all of us, for our centres and for ourselves, involving the coordination of local systems and training people and, of course, supporting them on an ongoing basis. So we have fashioned a support structure to meet the needs of you, our centres, in changing from other systems initially and then moving from manual testing to the automated system. And as the number of ATS centres grew, so did our support function. So with 90% very, very happy, and they were in the very happy bracket, and very few saying that they were dissatisfied, we were happy with that, but we really would like 100% of our respondents to say that they were very happy. So we are listening to what you're saying, and we would like to tell you that we are adding to our support team, and we will be adding 2 more people to our support team. We'll be adding a general support person and an IT help desk person. And I'm just trying to figure this out here now for a minute. Okay, and we want, because we really want to get that up to 100%. We want there to be no dissatisfaction whatsoever with any of the support that we supply. Now, with us here at the conference today, you'll have met Edwina and Philip and Michelle, who are representing the support team here. And back in the office, we have Louise and Crowan and David trying to resolve any issues that you have and help you in the switch over to automated testing. And we've had over 140 centres have individually been visited by David to help with setup and to iron out any problems that they would have. So, he's been, through both the seminars and the centre visits, our team has been ably assisted by David Murphy from Enlight KS, who's here with us as well today, along with Tony Hamill, and they've been giving us a great deal of support. Okay, So basically, the point I'm making here is that we believe our support is really good, and we intend to keep it at that level, and to make sure our absolute objective is to make sure that your needs are met every step of the way. Just a word to schools. Schools, a third of you here today are from schools, and there's a demand. You can see that there's a demand for ECDL from universities, with many of them requiring ECDL to advance to higher levels in certain faculties. There's been an increase in the requirement of ECDL from employers. We're seeing it from recruitment agencies as well. And I suppose ECDL from that point of view is, most of all, it's a practical certification, and it focuses on the needs of the user as opposed to the features of the software, and that's a fundamental principle. It's not based and updates to syllabi, etc., are not based just on new features of software, but they're based on the real needs of users and the technology that they need to do their work or get involved in their education. While I'm talking about schools, I'm going to just briefly mention the ICS Grid. And ICS Grid is a project that some of you will know about. It's a library of curricular resources covering all the second-level school subjects. It's been developed by ourselves in conjunction with Innovation Solutions and Cambridge University Press and the Global Grid for Learning. It provides a standalone Moodle installation for every school who gets involved in the programme. We also, what's different about the ICS Grid from other Moodle installations is that we supply the content, which is really fundamental, because there's lots of, you can get a Moodle installation set up and it's grand, but what teachers want, I think you'll agree, is content, and they want ease of access to content, and they want relevant content, and they want content that's going to save them from going to Google for searching for things, or it's going to save them from carrying, bags of books around, and maybe save their students from carrying heavy school bags full of big books all year. So, it's a very practical approach to the delivery of education and giving access to resources. So we've worked with Irish teachers to make sure that the content that we provide on the grid is mapped to the school curriculum, that it's going to be in line with the examination syllabi, etc., so that it's not extraneous, it's absolutely what teachers need, and it's ready for them to use. We have a pilot study ongoing at the moment with 30 schools nationwide, and we will be rolling it out to a much greater number of schools in the coming 12 months. ECDL schools who are accessing the e-learning will gradually be given the opportunity to use the grid to access their e-learning lessons, which they currently get from a different route. So it's going to, recently we've upgraded, so it's going to provide Moodle 2.2. We have the GGFL, as I mentioned, the Global Grid for Learning. And if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about it, one of the streams this afternoon will be discussing the grid in the education stream. I mentioned schools, so I mean we've got a number of different markets here with us today. The corporate market is quite well represented as well, and as are private training companies who do a lot of work with the corporate market, and what's happening in training, in corporate training, is of relevance to them as well. And it appeared that the training spend was down a bit in recent years in the corporate market, but not really as consumers of ECDL. I mean, we have seen a decrease in the number of corporates which were set up as ECDL centres. But we know that a lot of those organisations have just diverted their training to private training companies, so that they're still training their staff, and they still see the value of ECDL for their workers. And so recently, as I've said, we've had a re-engagement with a good number of corporates, and we found that there was a latent need there for in-house for in-house work and for in-house training and management of the training at ECDL level. They knew about the programme because they had run it before, and their people were going out to avail of training and certification externally. But they'd forgotten really at HR level in some cases and training manager level, they'd forgotten what it really could offer to them as organisations. And they also were, to a large extent, unaware of recent developments because they weren't, operating as test centres, so they weren't in communication with us. So they weren't really aware of the e-learning and the ATS and the flexible certification and all of the things that we're offering. And so I suppose the message is that there is an interest and a need for this type of training in the corporate market, and it's an opportunity for us and for all of you who are private training companies or who are even offering training through the community and voluntary sector to go out and to rebuild that corporate business, because it is there and the demand for it is there. It's just a matter of going and re-energising it and letting them know what's new and different about what we can offer. We also, of course, the third sector, I suppose, are the training providers as a grouping of in themselves, the private training companies and the community and voluntary sector, and we have a significant number of all of you represented here today. Promoting the certification is something which is fundamentally the job, I suppose, in a way, of people who are out there selling it and selling the training and enticing people to come in and to take it. The backbone of the ECDL structure in Ireland has been the reach out into every parish and every community which we find by the network of centres that we have. And of course the work that's done by the community and voluntary sector is really, it's changing lives. And I'll be talking a little bit about another programme that we're working with that's going out into the community and that's changing lives as well when I talk about Get Ireland Online in a little while. Oh, it's the next one. I wasn't sure it was coming right up now. But Get Ireland Online, it's very relevant to this because we have about 60 centres, 60 of the centres from the community and voluntary sector working on us with this programme. Last year we spoke about the Digital Agenda Europe and the work that we were doing along with the ECDL Foundation in playing our part to promote digital literacy in Ireland as part of the whole European experience. We now are running this Get Ireland Online project, and that's our implementation, if you like, or that's our effort to implement the digital agenda within Ireland. Our objective is, or our commitment, I suppose, is to train 4,500 people by the end of June, and we've about 2,000, nearly 2,000 of those done already. And they get a 6-hour training course. It's not a certified training course. It's a taster. It's an introduction. It's at the awareness level. It's to bring people and give them some very, very basic skills on using the internet, a little bit of social media, a little bit of sending emails and things like that, maybe using Skype to contact family members abroad, practical things, but just at a very introductory level. And this program, it's being managed by ICS Skills in-house and nationally by Eileen Glacken, and Eileen is here, and if there's anybody out there that likes the sound of this program and thinks that they might like to get involved in it, it is a sound business proposition that we can make for you, and it's a good opportunity to get some traffic into your training centre. And it's also a good recruitment ground for follow-on training, as well as all the benefits to the people who are getting this introductory training course. So speak to Eileen if you're interested in hearing any more about that. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about version 6, ECDL version 6. We have had ECDL version 1, 1.5. I don't know if we ever had a 1.2, but we certainly had a version 3, a version 4, and syllabus 5, and we're now on syllabus 5. And we're at the stage where we need to do a little bit of high-level thinking and bear in mind that we have to change to remain relevant. We can't stay the same forever. And I know some of you will be just thinking, gosh, well, we've just got bedded down into syllabus 5 and we've got it now and it's all working for us, and don't tell us you're going to change again. Well, nothing's going to change this week or next week. But I wanted to alert you to the kind of direction that the thinking is taking. And we always work very closely with the ECDL Foundation, who are the leaders in this, but they have a very strong consultative process. So we're very, very much involved in that, and our opinions and your opinions expressed through us to the Foundation are very important in shaping how things move forward. So I wanted to just start the discussion with you about this today. So we need to maybe look at what our objectives are. What is it that we're trying to achieve in looking at the structure of the ECDL program? Digital literacy, I suppose, is what we're trying to establish. And our mission as ICS Skills, as a not-for-profit organisation, is to promote digital literacy and to advocate for the digitally illiterate, and to do whatever we can in the way we organise the programmes and the training and the certification to bring people along so that they can be active participants in the information society, I suppose. But digital literacy is a very broad concept, so you could actually break it down, starting from digital awareness being a very, very basic kind of just an awareness that there is something there, and that there's capability there that can help people in their personal lives, just to have the ability to do very, very basic tasks, just at a very low level. And you can move up through digital literacy, knowing a little bit more, digital competence, which is maybe getting you operating in the workplace, and then the concept of digital excellence, which would be a power user or a person using advanced user tools and using applications at a high level. This is just a different way of looking at it, I suppose, really. And you could say that programs like Equal Skills might be in the digital awareness area. If we move up a little bit higher than that. The first modules of ECDL would be bringing people up into the next level. You need a little bit more to be able to function in the workplace, and then working at a higher level in the workplace, you'd be maybe moving into something like ECDL Advanced or maybe even USIP. So that's just a slightly different representation of it. And so equal skills is the digitally aware level. The beginning of ECDL, just having a number of the modules, maybe ECDL Start, 3 or 4 modules, would maybe classify somebody as being digitally literate. Then we move into the workplace. Digitally competent would be somebody who can use IT to carry out their job, and then at a higher level, you might describe somebody as being digitally expert. I think that what's important in this breakdown is that not everybody needs to be digitally expert. Everybody needs at least a level of awareness, and then depending on their role in life, or depending on what they're doing, what their kind of job is, if they're in education, if they're not, they need various other levels as well. And I think it's a very comprehensive and developmental way of thinking about it. And I think when we map our ECDL certification programs onto an understanding of digital literacy like that, you know, I think it shows that there is a structured scheme, and that there's a pathway for people to embark upon, and they can work their way up through the different sections. We always spoke about e-inclusion, and Jim touched on this before when he was speaking. E-inclusion is very important. Nobody left behind, everybody kept in the loop. But now what's really important for us is e-employability. I think that's really crucial. I think that's a very good way of thinking about it. We have to have people job ready. I think one of the ministers said that recently, that people have to be job ready. And that's one of the main objectives of training. So we're used to ECDL, the standard seven modules for getting your ECDL license. Here in Ireland, we certify ECDL Start on the attainment of any 4 modules. In some countries, they specify specific modules, and it would most likely be maybe 1, 2, and 7, and then the 4th one would be one that people could select themselves. But we've allowed that flexibility to select any 4 modules for ECDL Start, and then the other 3 for the full 7 to get your full ECDL certificate. So you can express, even at this point, there's a little bit of choice in how you express your digital expertise or your level of digital literacy. Now this is still syllabus 5, okay? So the list of modules there on the left are the modules 1 to 7, and then on the right we have another set of modules 8 to 13. Now some of these 8 to 13 you'll be familiar with, and some of them are available here, but not all of these would be available in all markets, because it just depends on what the needs are, and what the demand is, and what the capability to deliver these are in different places. And there's a reason for those different colours that you'll see in a moment. But we've been making efforts to determine what are the essential skills needed by any digitally literate person in the broadest sense of the word. And that's part of the ongoing work that we're doing here. And it does seem that some of the thinking that we've seen in other countries, where modules 1, 2 and 7 were emerging as you know, the basic knowledge required for a person to be considered digitally literate, that there's some value in that, and there's some good sense in that. Module 3 is also starting to be accepted as being fundamental, that somebody with a capability in IT would need to have word processing skills. So therefore, if we pull out modules 1, 2 and 7, and then sort of tag module 3 onto the end there, then we're starting to engage with the thinking which is behind the development of version 6. And I suppose if we look at those 4 modules and see, you know, what would we do with them, or would we keep them, or would we change them, or whatever. Module 1, I suppose, I think you'll agree is probably a bit dated. There's some material in it that's a bit obsolete and maybe a bit out of date, but there's still bits in it that are good and that are valuable, so we can't just throw it away. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but it needs to be revised. Likewise, modules 2 and 7, there's a lot of really good stuff there, but as we look at them, we find, there's a bit of overlap, and there's a bit of, in order to make the modules standalone and independent, it was necessary to have some content repeated from one to the other. So they're there for, they came up for discussion to see what could be done about those three there. And word processing we'll just leave there for a moment. So as we move to version 6 then, what has come out of the discussions and all of the work is 2 new modules. Not extra modules, but 2 new modules. So that modules 1, 2 and 7 would actually morph, I suppose, into 2 new modules, one called Computer Essentials and one called Information and Communication. So Computer Essentials would really be an amalgam of the good quality content of Module 1 and the good quality content that was still relevant and pertinent in Module 2. And that would come into one module called Computer Essentials. And that the web browsing and communication would become known as Information and Communication, and that would have most of what we currently have in Module 7, but a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of new web stuff, Web 2 stuff and collaboration stuff, and there's a lot of really new, a lot of good new content that would go in there as well. And then word processing is there just as word processing. And this is kind of, demonstrating strong elements of thought leadership here, which I think is very important in determining these basic skills that would be fundamental to any certification scheme. So the 3 essential modules then might look like Computer Essentials, Information and Communication, and word processing. So that's the first step. The Computer Essentials, just to give you a little bit of information on it, it would be, as I said, an amalgam of 1 and 2, use of computers, different devices, PC, tablets, smartphones, etc., operating systems, managing windows, files and folders. And just the content is, just streamlined and the relevant stuff retained. And you're probably already noticing that there's going to have to be some changes to module numbers. There's going to be a little bit of confusion around that. Module numbers and version numbers, etc., are going to be a little bit of a hurdle. The second module, Information and Communication, will be a lot of the familiar stuff, use of the internet and browsers, finding information, email, online collaboration and social tools and things like that. And word processing. For version 6, there'll be very little change in word processing. It's pretty good and pretty stable as it is now, and the feedback we're getting from it is very good. So we have a baseline set of modules then to cover the essential skills. Again, the bank of other modules is not available in full everywhere. You're used to seeing, from the middle group here, you're used to seeing Web Starter, which is now Web Editing, and Image Maker, which is now Image Editing, as standalone modules outside of ECDL. But now we're going to incorporate them fully and completely into ECDL. You may also be aware of IT security. We've been talking about that for a while, and we're in a position very shortly now to deliver that both with e-learning and automated testing as a fully integrated ECDL module, all supported by the same administration system that we've been using. Our survey is relevant here again because our survey indicated when we asked what new content would centres see would be relevant to new versions of ECDL, they came up with things like business and photography and dealing with images and skills for teachers and education. So it coincides very much with the thinking that was going on in the ECDL Foundation, because the whole offering is going to include 3 new modules at this point, and there will be more modules possibly as time goes on. Collaborative tools is one of them, covering things like working with multiple calendars, shared documents, collaboration of documents, collaborative working on documents and spreadsheets, Google Docs and things like that, but not based on any one application, just reflective of how technology in the workplace is evolving. Another one is IT and education, and the use of e-learning and technology as a teaching tool, VLEs, e-portfolios, management tools for teachers and things like that. And ICT for small business, I think this is an interesting module because there's a lot of interest and work going on at ECDL Commission, at European Commission level to promote basic skills training and IT training for owner-managers of small and medium enterprises, just to grow their businesses and to get the best value out of them. And these types of people can gain a lot by, from their personal skills and learning business technical skills as well. So I think there's a good opportunity for moving along there. Okay. All 15 modules might be organized into 3 strands like this. Am I way over time? All 15 modules, may be organized into 3 strands like this. And that will facilitate us structuring ECDL to suit different clients and markets. So we can look at application modules and occupational modules in terms of making up 7 modules along with the 3 essentials. We've got 3 essential modules, and we've got a list of application modules and occupational modules, and that people can select according to the track that they're on and according to their own particular needs. So certification then, we can look at it in 2 ways. We can look at it going down the numbers route. We can look at ECDL Start and full ECDL, which is 7 modules. So we've got the 4 and the 7. And ECDL Start in version 6 would look like this. It would look like 3 essential modules, which would be prescribed, which would be a little bit different from before, where we had a complete free reign. Computer essentials, information and communication, and word processing, and 1 more from either the application list or from the occupational list, as you might decide yourselves. And going the numbers route again, the full ECDL certification 7 modules would be 3 essential modules plus any other 4 from the application or occupational lists. Of course, it all depends on who you want to be and what you want to do and what you want your ECDL or your ECDL modules or the skills you're learning in your ECDL program, what you want them to do for you. So ECDL is structured to deliver what each person wants. So we're still happy for you to select what you want. If you just want to do 2 modules, if you just want to do web editing and IT security, that's fine. You can do that and you can get your certificate. So you can go the numbers route and get your ECDL Start with 4, you can get full ECDL license with 7, or you can mix and match in any way that you want. You can even add in some advanced modules. So you might be looking at a career track, maybe something which would require a lot of work on spreadsheets, and you might look at core level spreadsheets and advanced spreadsheets, and that might be your ECDL and the selection of ECDL that you would pick for yourself or for your team at work or whatever. And so it's clear and it's structured and it's very simple. So as we moved from syllabus 4 to syllabus 5, we said, well, this is a gradual change. It's going to be, not a big revolution, not a big change. It's going to be more of an evolution. As we move from syllabus 5 to version 6, it's not going to be a revolution, definitely. It's still going to be an evolution, but I think that there's going to be a bit more innovation involved in it. It's not going to be, evolution, is very slow, incremental change. It's incremental and it's logical and it's structured, but there's a bit of innovative thinking behind it as well. The benefits of version 6 are that we'll have more choice with more modules, greater relevance with new modules being created, changes being easier to support, we'll be in a position to change content more easily. As we were looking at those modules there, you'll have noticed that we'll have word processing and spreadsheets and database and presentations won't be changing very much at all. So they'll be at version 5. The new modules like collaborative tools or ICT for teachers or ICT in education, for small business, they're going to be at syllabus 1, so because they're brand new modules. So we're not going to talk about syllabus versions now, we're going to talk about the version of the program. So that's why we're dropping the word syllabus. It's going to be ECDL version 6, not ECDL syllabus 6. So there'll be a little bit of mixing and matching there. Anyway, I'm getting to the end now because I have gone over time and Owen's going to kill me. Just to remind you that if you go outside here and talk to the people at our stand, you'll see that we have programs that we've been running for a number of years, like HITS and USIP and CTP and data protection and benefit that I said you could talk, the Get Ireland Online program I said you could talk to Eileen about. We've been running these for years, but we now have the facility within our administration system to enable you to offer them to your clients, to your customers. HITS and USIP in particular are very straightforward. You can just take e-learning, you can take automated testing, and you can run classroom-based courses, or you can run e-learning courses and you can get people skilled up in those. For CTP and data protection, yes, we can facilitate that, but you do need specialist tutors, so you need to talk to us a little bit further about it. And Get Ireland Online you can find out about as well. So we're trying to be a full solution provider for the IT training market in terms of offering centre accreditation, which is what most of you are operating under. We do offer training to yourselves as well as on a smaller scale to members of the public. Certification services, the LMS through the grid, the ICS grid, and some corporate offerings we will be developing too in relation to providing Moodle-based e-learning systems for corporates, and all of our schools program, our ICS Inspire, F1 in schools, the grid, Choose IT, all of those things that you're familiar with. So listen, thank you very much for listening to me. I'm sorry I've gone over time. I want you to know, as a result of this conference, that we are listening to you. We would love to get your feedback on what I've been talking about today. I'll be here all day. All the team will be here. We'd love to get your comments, your questions, your feedback, whatever. If we can't answer your questions today, we'll get back to you and we'll make sure that we give you the answers that you need to carry on. So thank you very, very much for your patience this morning.